When a brand approaches me to check out a watch from their catalogue, the first thing that I do is browse through their range and ask myself one question. If I was buying a watch from this brand, which one would I buy, if any? And with this brand Baltic, this Aquascaphe dual crown on paper seems to tick so many right boxes for me. Albeit it's not a perfect watch. There are a couple of tweaks which I think this watch could benefit from. There are also some really well thought out elements and attention to detail. And I think that makes you feel that this watch, if not this brand, is just that little bit more than your run-of-the-mill micro brand. Let's check this thing out. Now in the last 6 months, so many of my viewers have actually asked me to get a Baltic. You guys, you've actually said to me, Pete, check out Baltic, I think you'll be impressed with their quality. And this is the first Baltic that I've got on the channel. It's the one that I chose from their catalogue, from their website. And I must say, it's perfectly spec'd regarding dimensions, functionality and usability. The colour of that dial is absolutely superb. It's a nice iridescent blue, it's got fantastic depth, it's got a sunray sunburst effect, and the tonality goes from black to light blues and everything in between. So that's one of the heroes of this watch. But not only that, same with that sapphire crystal. It's a double dome, it's got a beautiful look, and I think as enthusiasts, it's the little details that make a world of difference in a timepiece. And this one's got it in spades. Because the love doesn't stop there. The actual case shape and finishing is on an extremely high level. And I'll be honest, I didn't expect that. Now I did mention at the beginning of the video that this is not a perfect watch because there's probably several things that this watch would benefit from. And one of them is the price. Because the watch comes in at €650 and the engine under the hood is a Miyota 9039. Now not that there's anything wrong with the Miyota is actually fantastic. It's regulated, it's running really healthy in this particular unit. So no qualms in that department, just €650 usually tends to lead us towards Swiss watch territory. So this dual crown Aquascaphe has to pull out a few more stops to be able to justify itself at that price point in the market. And I'll share with you guys what my experience has been throughout the week with this timepiece. And looking at the specs of this watch, for many wrists, this particular unit is spec'd beautifully. Coming in at 39 with an 11.8mm height, that is really decent specs. The weight comes in at 80 grams on this rubber strap, and both crowns come in at 6.8mm, and although the internal bezel crown is not a screw down crown, the watch still offers 200 meters of water resistance. And with those dimensions, looking at the overhead, you can see the footprint is phenomenal. There's absolutely no overhang with that 47mm lug to lug. The height, that is really nice. That is such a pleasurable experience because I've been wearing this watch and swapping it out between the bracelet and the rubber strap. It's been a remarkable experience throughout the week. And whilst wearing the watch throughout the week, there's been a couple of unusual things that I've had to get used to, and then once I've gotten used to them, I've actually enjoyed them. And one of them is that rubber strap. And it's not as malleable or as soft as what I'm used to, which is FKM or vulcanized rubber. So it's a little bit firmer on first impressions. However, it also does have some other benefits. You see, turning the watch over, you'll notice that the tang buckle is not in the middle of my wrist. So it's an actual longer strap than necessary, designed to go over a wetsuit. And in saying that, by having a longer strap, this particular tang buckle sits to the left and this is the bottom of your wrist. So it's nice, it's comfortable, it's balanced. It's been a real joy. So I've actually enjoyed this unit, even though it's not as soft a rubber as I'd like it to be. Its breathability and usability has been really good. And looking at that case back, as you can see, it's got a solid case back, and hiding behind that is that Miyota 9039. It's been running very healthily at about +8 seconds per day on the time grapher, but in the real world on the wrist, it's been gaining about 4 seconds. If I turn my attention to the bezel of this watch, it's an internal rotating bi-directional bezel and it's operated by that crown. And one of the things that I said, it's not a screw down crown, however the watch still offers 200 meters of water resistance. And my initial concern, as with any non-screw down crown on an internal bezel, is that it's going to move. And having this throughout the week, it has not moved. Wherever I've set up this crown, any position, I've lined it up, it stayed there, I've worn the watch, any situation, it has not moved at all. So that was going to be one of my potential gripes, but in functionality, it's not presented itself as a problem. And even lining up the bezel at 12 o'clock, everything else lines up perfectly. So quality control, workmanship, I think they've done really well. And speaking of workmanship, the case finishing of the watch has really surprised me. The polished bevels are razor sharp. The fine satin brushing on the case is really well executed, and even the fixed external bezel has got radial brushing, very good quality, and I think it adds to the character of the actual watch. And the detail for me doesn't stop there, because that handset is superb. It's a cross between pencil, syringe, sword style, beautifully brushed, very nicely executed, where my initial complaint was going to be that this watch has only got a Miyota, not a Swiss movement. I put that aside because the execution and the area of detail and finishing, this watch has got it in spades. Well done, Baltic. Now the watch also features Swiss Superluminova BGW9, and everything on the dial and bezel handset is applied very evenly, and the clarity and legibility again has been a no-brainer. Lastly, before I touch on any of the gripes of this watch, I want to speak about that bracelet. You see, that bracelet is an optional accessory for this watch. The watch itself comes on a rubber strap at €650. And having the accessibility of that bracelet and wearing it on the bracelet, it's been an enjoyable experience, because the total weight is only 118 grams with that bracelet sized to my 18cm wrist. So it's not a very heavy bracelet, it feels light, but the quality is there, if that makes sense. Not a real big fan of the polished sides personally. I would have preferred it all brushed. And the fact that it's only got really one micro adjustment on that clasp, that's a bit of a bummer. So you really have to wear it a little bit on the looser side just to be able to cater. But put that aside, the watch doesn't come with that. That is an option. The watch comes on this strap. And what are the potential gripes of this watch? Well, first and foremost, having the Miyota, there is a little bit of rotor noise. I've experienced throughout the week, I've heard it, it's caught my attention. That's been the biggest niggle or negative that I've found on this watch. Secondly, looking at that optional extra, that bracelet, the center section which is brushed, it does mark. It marks quite easily. Although the quality of the actual bracelet is very good, bear in mind that it will probably scratch up quite easily. But moving back to the watch, there's nothing really to complain. Apart from the price, €650, that's something that I think you need to justify in your own heart and mind, because when purchasing a watch like this, for me, I'm looking at the finesse, the detail, the execution, the quality of that handset, the quality of that dial. In fact, the mood coming off that dial, that iridescent blue, is superb. It's been one of the heroes of this watch. And I suppose if I'm going to be really critical, the only other thing that sort of bothered me throughout the week, the crown, even though it's 6.8mm, they're relatively thin, so using it at that angle where it is, there's only really a certain amount of grip that you've got. Something to note, it is usable, it is practical, but in the position where it is, it's sometimes also difficult to get a grip. And that's pretty much it, because I'm really glad I got this on the channel. It's got such a nice look. That sapphire crystal gives a beautiful romantic feel on that dial. The tonality of that dial, the quality of that handset, the quality of the case detail, the fact that it's got drilled lugs, quick release spring bars on both the rubber strap and the bracelet. It just makes you feel like it's just a little bit more than just your standard run-of-the-mill micro brand. It might not have all the bells or whistles like a screw down crown, a Swiss movement, on-the-fly adjustability, but I tell you what, when it comes to execution, when it comes to finishing, when it comes to emotive feelings, this is doing it. This is a really nice piece. And at 39mm, a wonderful footprint on the wrist, I think it's something to really consider. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. This is the first Baltic, hopefully the first of many more, because I'm really impressed with what I've got here, albeit that little bit expensive. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know if you've had experience with Baltic, or if you've got this particular watch. I'm quite impressed. I like it. There's really not a great deal to complain about here, because as a good looking piece and as a piece giving you feedback in the area of emotion and character, I think they've done really well. Thanks again for watching. Enjoy the piece that's currently on your wrist. Enjoy this hobby, and we'll see you in the next video.